Hey, what's up guys? It's Jake the Metalhead, and today, in the next video in my new Versus series, we're finally taking a look at the band Shinedown.
Shinedown is a hard rock band from Jacksonville, Florida. Yay, one of the few good things to come from Florida! Shinedown is one of my favorite bands of all time, despite past comments from me in videos. Yeah, I don't really think very highly of Attention personally. It's not bad, it just has some bad parts on it. I could go on, but this album is another story for another time. And also that Suicide Silence versus video took a lot out of me, so I'm gonna quit being negative at least for now. Today we're taking a look at two of my personal favorite albums by them.
So, without further ado, let's start with what I feel is one of the most influential rock albums of our time, Sound of Madness.
Sound of Madness, in my opinion, as I said, is one of the best albums that Shinedown has ever put out, and that's saying something considering Shinedown's material before that was really good. However, I come back to this album more than those two personally. What makes this album stand out in particular is that this album is a banger front to back. Hell, I personally consider the 4-album run from Leave a Whisper to Amaryllis all really good and highly above average albums front to back. Sure, I may come back to some albums more than others, but I still at least like quite a bit from all 4 albums.
Sound of Madness is an album full of emotion and an album that has a wide range of songs. You got heavy songs like Devour, the title track, Cry for Help, Sin with a Grin, and Cyanide Sweet Tooth Suicide, which is frowned upon by the fan base a little bit for some reason. I don't know, I think it's a banger song, honestly. You have pseudo ballads, which are all beautiful, by the way, like Second Chance, Crow and the Butterfly, If You Only Knew, One a Shame, which is one of the true hidden gems of the 2000s, and also Breaking Inside. I love how the heavy tracks and soft tracks are spread out amongst each other. The guitar work may sound easy to play, but it's not. Trust me, I've tried playing the title track a couple of times and failed miserably, as I normally do with guitar. The drum work isn't too flashy, but Barry Kirch isn't really a flashy drummer. Sure, he shows off every once in a while, but he doesn't ever try to outshine his bandmates. And the vocals. Oh my god!
Guys, I'm just gonna say it. Brent Smith has one of the best voices in hard rock I've ever heard. His range is right up my alley, his rasp is perfect, and he knows when to come in with whatever he needs to do. He's great with slower songs and heavier songs. He's got so much passion in his voice, and the lyrics he wrote for this album are extremely well written, especially for the slower songs. What a Shame and Call Me have easily the best lyrics on here.
Overall, this album is one of my inspirations for drumming and vocals. It's well written lyrically and sonically, and I absolutely love the album front to back. For any detractors of Shinedown who only heard Threat to Survival and Attention, I point them in the direction of this album. I'm looking at you, lead singer of my metal band that shall not be named, cough, cough, J. Anyways, I'd say this album is a must listen for getting into hard rock, especially if you're trying to get into Shinedown. Now, what am I putting this album up against? Well, despite you reading the title of the video, I've been trying to not mention this album and trying to only dedicate the first half of this video to Sound of Madness. So, without further ado, here is the opponent for Sound of Madness. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the most underrated Shinedown album next to Us and Them. I'm not even kidding.
I love this album. This album, along with Sound of Madness, were the first 2 Shinedown albums I ever owned. This album I feel is special. It's the transitional period between Sound of Madness and Threat to Survival, where they weren't fully set on the sound that would come from Threat to Survival, but it was still definitely a notable change from Sound of Madness.
I also happen to hold this album in high regard because despite a slight lyrical setback, I still feel it holds up pretty well. Now, however, I know people don't feel the same way about this album that I do, and that's completely fine because This is the follow-up to Sound of Madness. Of course, this isn't going to be as good as Sound of Madness is. However, I still give these guys credit because they were able to deliver a banger album after one of the best albums that they ever put out. So I still give props to Shinedown on that. So this album has somewhat the same case song-wise as Sound of Madness does. You have the heavier tracks like the opening track, Adrenaline, the second song, which I will touch on later, Enemies, Nowhere Kids, and My Name Wearing Me Out. You have a few radio rock type tracks, which are For My Sake, Unity, and I'm Not Alright. You have a pseudo ballad with the title track, and also the power ballad of this album, which I will also get to later. And then you have the absolutely beautiful ending to the album, Through the Ghost, which, unlike Call Me from Sound of Madness, goes full orchestral with its instrumental, and from an atmospheric standpoint, I feel Through the Ghost is the better song off of this album. Now, one advantage that Amaryllis has against Sound of Madness is this album has two mega hits, Bully and I'll Follow You.
I somewhat remember hearing both of these songs before I got into Shinedown, and these ranked better than the singles off of Sound of Madness, so I imagine these two songs were absolutely inescapable compared to Second Chance, Crow and the Butterfly, and others along with it. And not to knock the success of the other singles off of this album, Unity charted pretty well. Hell, Enemies was the theme song for Monday Night Raw back in 2016 to 2018. That's 2 years that you got the world on its knees, you take it all that you please, you want more, show you nothing from me but enemies. Was the theme song to Monday Night Raw 4 to 6 years after it was first released, and I find that to be pretty cool, honestly.
Overall, this album is great. The soft and the heavy songs, once again, are spaced out pretty well. The lyrics are a little weaker than Sound of Madness, admittedly, but Brent Smith and the rest of the band still give up an excellent performance. Now, it's pretty difficult for me to decide which album is better in my opinion, so to make this video even longer, I put each song in a 1v1 match against each other. Some of these will be voiceover, some of them will be this shot here. Ace this.
Hey, I'm actually Cy Spartan
What
now.
the fuck? Oh, I guess Cy Spartan? Yeah, you changed your name to Cy Spartan, I forgot. Cy Spartan, put the songs up. Now, I'm aware that Amaryllis has one more song than Sound of Madness does, so just to even things out, I threw Diamond Eyes into the Sound of Madness lineup for obvious reasons. Alright, enough messing around. I'm going to try and rapid fire through these, so let's do this. Adrenaline versus Devour. I personally give this one to Adrenaline because, yes, Devour is still an awesome song, but I feel like Adrenaline just gives off a little more energy, is a better opening track, and it does Devour's job better. So yeah, I give this one to Adrenaline. Sound of Madness versus Bully. I personally give this one to Sound of Madness because I just prefer Sound of Madness over Bully. Bully's message is better, and the guitar solo in Bully is a little more up my alley, but Sound of Madness I feel is just the better song, and not to throw shade at Bully, but I feel Rise Against did the whole anti-bullying song better, in my opinion. So yeah, either way, this one goes to Sound of Madness. Second Chance versus Amyrillis. I'm personally giving this one to Amyrillis because, yes, the performance vocally in Second Chance is better, but I feel there's a little more going on sonically in Amaryllis, and I just find Amaryllis to be a little more interesting. And personally, when I look back on Sound of Madness, I don't really think Second Chance off the top of my head. And I just feel Second Chance personally is one of the weaker songs off of Sound of Madness. Yeah, either way, this one goes to Amaryllis. Cry for Help versus Enemies. I personally give this one to Cry for Help because I tend to drum and sing this song a little more than Enemies, and I kind of forget that Enemies exists. Enemies kind of irked me a little bit for being the theme song to Raw for so long, but like I still dig that it was the opening song to Monday Night Raw, but Enemies still got on my nerves like just the tiniest bit. But it's still not a bad song, but still I give this one to Cry for Help. Crow and the Butterfly versus Unity. I love both songs, but come on, it's no contest. Unity ain't got shit on Crow and the Butterfly, man. Crow and the Butterfly's vocal performance hooks me in a little more, and I also really dig the story to Crow and the Butterfly. Look it up if you don't know it. If You Only Knew versus Miracle. I personally choose Miracle over If You Only Knew because I don't really go back to If You Only Knew all that much, but I still frequently go back to Miracle. I can't really explain it, and I do also admit, yes, the better vocal performance does belong to You If You Only Knew, but I personally just prefer Miracle over If You Only Knew. It's not really like that complicated, it's just I prefer that song over the other.
Sin with a Grin versus Nowhere Kids. I give this one to Sin with a Grin because it has a more interesting drum groove, and I prefer Brent's vocals on this more than Nowhere Kids. I also don't really like the lyrics to Nowhere Kids personally, but that's just me. What a Shame versus I Follow You. What a Shame gets the win here. The story overall hooks me in more, and the ending to What a Shame alone runs miles around I Follow You. Cyanide Sweet Tooth Suicide versus My Name Wearing Me Out. Cyanide Sweet Tooth Suicide wins because next to Sin with a Grin, this song has the most visceral vocals from Brent Smith on Sound of Madness overall, and I'm not too big of a fan of My Name personally, so yeah, Cyanide Sweet Tooth Suicide gets the win. Breaking Inside versus I'm Not Alright. I'm Not Alright actually wins here because of the lyrics. They're a nice twist for Shinedown overall lyrically, and I also love the swinging beat and the guitar riffs overall. However, I do have to say Brent's performance is better on Breaking Inside. Diamond Eyes versus For My Sake. Diamond Eyes blows this out of the water. It's one of Brent's best vocal performances from all the bonus tracks that came from Sound of Madness. Same with the instrumentals, and I did a drum cover of this song for God's sake. This should say something. Call Me versus Through the Ghost. The two closer tracks from each respective album. I stated earlier that Through the Ghost is the better song sonically, but the heartbreak that you feel in Call Me from the lyrics and the vocal performance from Brent Smith just make Call Me hit way harder. I love both songs, but Call Me wins overall against Through the Ghost.
Okay, so the score is 8-4 in favor of Sound of Madness, so with that being said, the winner here is Sound of Madness. Amyrillis is still a very above average album, but like I said earlier, Sound of Madness is their best work. There's not really that much to it. Sound of Madness just is overall just the better album, in my opinion. I still recommend both albums though, Sound of Madness being their best work, and Shinedown being an underrated gem for the band as a whole, and also an underrated album from 2012. And through all of this, do I even need to make a trap joke? How about a little more of a complicated one for you? Picture the ending to the highway scene in the first Deadpool movie, where Deadpool tells the dude,
I'm about to do to you what Limp Bizkit did to music in the late 90s.
Shinedown's Sound of Madness and Amaryllis combined are Deadpool, and Trap's lead singer, Chris Taylor Brown, is Francis.
That's it from me, guys. Huge shout out to Cy Spartan for editing for me. His channel is in the description, as well as links to my Discord server, Instagram, Twitter, and both albums, so you can make an informed decision on which is better. I'd love to hear your feedback in the comment section, and please leave a like if you want to see more Versus videos, and it also helps this video perform well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.